Welcome to the Happy Mama Movement podcast. I'm Amy Taylor-Kabbaz. I would like to start by acknowledging the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation on which this podcast is recorded as the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. And as this podcast is dedicated to the wisdom and knowledge of motherhood, I would like to acknowledge the mothers of this land, the elders, their wisdom, their knowing, and my own elders and teachers. Welcome back, everyone. On the 22nd of July 2014, I registered my very first website, wanting to start sharing my story, my research and insights into motherhood, which means it has now been 9 years of creating content, and for most of that time, creating podcasts, both in this podcast and a previous incarnation, sharing stories of motherhood and matrescence from all over the globe. And so I think we often don't pause and celebrate enough in our current culture. And I also know that we have so much knowledge hidden in the archives of this podcast. And so in recognition of that, the team and I are going to be bringing you some micro matrescence moments over the next few weeks, highlights and insights from some of our episodes that you can listen to. And if you want to go deeper, pop into the show notes and see which episode to go back to and listen. Thank you for being here, perhaps for the last 9 years or just for the last few minutes. This is how we change the way we support mothers.
Because I really have to say, looking back at this, it's almost like a portal. It's like becoming a total different person. And in the beginning, it really felt overwhelming because I really underestimated how much there is new to becoming a mom when you first dive into it. And yet, of course, looking back at past lives and everything, I think I haven't become a mom for the first time in life, but it's always kind of new to really dive into this stage. And I really had to find my own path and way to be present with myself, although there was so many different tasks and challenges to meet every day. And this really made me develop this inner feeling of leadership, because only from that place within, truly being connected to this inner point within me, I could really manage all these different aspects and challenges on the outside.
What was the hardest part? Was it the changes within you or the practical parts of motherhood at first? What was your real birth by fire in those months?
Looking back at the early stages, it truly was the physical experience that I was always stepping over my inner boundaries, like on the physical level, because I had hardly any sleep and I had to manage everything on my own. And so the inner transition kind of passed by, or kind of was the easier part for me, because I was very connected to myself before I became a mom. It was really like challenging that I couldn't meditate as long anymore as I've been doing it before, but I had my inner guidance and I had my connectedness to myself. So this really helped me to trust my intuition and to really become strong on a deep inner level even more.
For those who might not know very well what that looks like, can you explain to us what that meant by growing up in a very masculine way and how you've begun to change that?
Exactly, yeah. That was truly the process, because when turning into motherhood, there is a lot of doing anyway, because you have to take care of your child and you have to meet your child, and so there is a lot of doing involved anyway. And I really learned to dive into the feminine to balance all this masculine energy within every day. And this really started for me by taking time off as much as it was possible. Like even when my daughter was asleep just for an hour, I took really some time off and did nothing, because the feminine essence really truly nurtures itself by having space and by letting everything go and by just observing what the body actually needs at the moment and what the body is giving as a sign to do next. So it truly helped me to connect to my body and to sink into my body even more whenever it was possible. And even when I was trying to get my baby to sleep, I was with one eye, I was connected to my body, and with the other eye, I was connected to my child. So I always had these two views within me, which was really interesting. It was kind of this observing part that was observing my body, and on the same extent, I was observing my child and her needs, and this really bridged both parts within me.
Over the years, I've spoken with thousands of women who motherhood is the first time they've ever contemplated a spiritual practice. It was for me. It was the first time I really sat my ass down and started to do these practices. And it's incredibly uncomfortable at first if you've never done anything like this before. If you've never had one eye on yourself, if you've never just sat and done nothing but breathe. How do we do it if this is a new and foreign thing in our life?
I really liked that you were talking about breathing, because everything that is connecting us back to our bodies is truly helpful. Like observing your breath while you are cooking, for example, or I even started to get back into the presence and to take pressure out of myself. I started to focus on my feet. When I was doing one task at a time, like cooking, I was like on the same extent, I was focusing on my feet. And when I finished this task, I truly felt, okay, now I'm moving my feet to the next task. So I always took the bridge of getting back to my feet to connect to the next step.
Connecting with the moon felt abstract and a bit out there and not very practical. I now know it is the complete opposite and is the most practical thing you can do to help you as a woman and a mother. But again, I know that there's many women out there who don't understand the true power of tuning into the cycles and the seasons of yourself and the moon.
Yeah, this is like really a major topic for us women, as the moon really represents the feminine aspects in the world. You can easily imagine the moon going through the 4 stages of new moon and all these phases of a lunar cycle. And we as women have the same 4 seasons within us, within our menstrual cycle, and they are strongly connected. And I usually talk about the inner moon, which is connected to our menstrual cycle, and the outer moon on the heaven that you can observe and that we are all often feeling when we can't sleep at night, probably during a new moon, during a full moon. And I really like these ideas of getting in touch with the womb area and feeling into the inner moon and becoming aware where you are at in your cycle, and allowing these 4 different stages that are within our cycle and these 4 different energy levels that are available to us within 1 month, to really observe them and to dive into them and to even try to enjoy them, because there is so much wisdom for us women, and there's so much power when we really sink into this energy level and into this flow of life that is given to us within a stage. For example, when we are in our inner winter, the time we are bleeding, usually our physical level drops, and we really have this possibility to even connect more to our intuition and to the wisdom that wants to be birthed, and to let go of the month that we've been through. On the next stage of our cycle, I call it the springtime of our cycle, we then feel even like it's spring. It's like we have this possibility to fulfill our tasks, and we are really clear in our head, and we can really dive into the doing part, because this is the time within our cycle that we almost have a masculine energy also available for us as women. And if we really connect to these different stages, the springtime is followed by the summer, which is our ovulation phase, and we really can go outside and enjoy community life, and we are really communicative and love to connect with other people. And then followed by the stage of the autumn. Now, if we really dive into these 4 stages and allow ourselves to sink into these possibilities that they offer, it really helps to manage life even easier and become more connected to ourselves and to what we want to birth as women as well.
We become so aware of ourselves, of how we change and transform each month. One eye always on the inner world as well as the outer. And that is what leadership looks like?
Exactly, yeah. It's I think it's being connected to the body to this extent that I just described, and as well as to be connected to our to spirit, to really take care of ourselves, to align with spirit every day, which is like the other pole, if you want to describe it like that, like heaven's pole, and the body is for me more like the earthiness. So there are 2 guidances within us that really give us answers within every day. And if we connect to both these answers every day and are centered within us, this deep knowing and this connectedness and centeredness really enters into leadership, and we just know what to do within each moment, and we know how to handle a situation with calmness, even if it's a total chaotic state on the outside.
What I think most of us misunderstand when we talk about the very masculine world we live in, it's not a balanced masculine world. The masculine, the healthy masculine energy is a leader. It is the one that can stay calm and centered when there is chaos around. And that is what we need in motherhood. But the feminine is where it starts. We need to know that inner world. We need to know our cycles. We need to know our inner boundaries, our intuition. We need to connect with that first, and then the leadership can come.
The feminine is kind of the bowl where the masculine then can fall into, and we just know. So we really have to take care first about our feminine energies, and as motherhood is a lot about doing anyways, it's like so important to really focus on nurturing our feminine side, doing nothing, focusing on beauty, focusing on self-care, emptying ourselves as often as possible, and taking care about our feelings, just allowing them to come up and to be seen and to be felt in the moment they are there, as guidance for us, what we truly want in life, because our feelings truly are a sign of our dreams, our longings that we still want to give to the world. So this is all like the groundwork, the feminine aspects of everyday life that give kind of a direction as well. And then in every moment, we're just open to receive the spirit, the guidance, the masculine, and we just know what to do. And we then also step into this power of doing from a very centered and held and filled place. So it's really also coming from, not from a lack, but from abundance.
Thank you for being a part of this movement and for listening to these amazing insights and stories of matrescence from mothers and experts around the world. Please know that you can be a part of this revolution by being a part of our Mama Rising Coaching Certification, which is open now and we start in September. Find out all the details by going to mamarising.net. And thank you again for being here. See you next time.